Hello and welcome to our channel Movie Vibes. Today, I'll walk you through episode 2 of Moon Knight, Summon the Suit, which is currently available on Disney+. Watch out for spoilers and take precautions. Steven arrives at work and runs into security guard JB, who is about to go over last night's security footage. Strangely, the CCTVs show no sign of that Egyptian jackal as Steven refers to that strange-looking supernatural jackal from episode 1 as he exited the museum. All we see is Steven running scared and making a mess, and Mark staring at the camera. Naturally, his employers, the National Art Gallery, are releasing him for the damage he caused, but only after providing him with psychological counseling. Steven speaks to the living statue Crawley on his way back to his flat and tells him about the items he discovered hidden in his flat, including a flip phone and a key. Now that he's out of work, Steven goes looking for the key to a storage locker where it belongs, and after 5 tries, he finds it. He discovers a bed, some boxes, and a bag inside. Said bug possesses a firearm, a substantial sum of money, and an American passport bearing the name Mark Spector. Alternate identity has been established. Oh, and there's that scarab that Arthur kept requesting from Steven. Steven notices that when he opens the scarab, a part of it hovers and points in a direction that isn't north like a compass. Mark reappears in the storage locker's reflection just then. Steven is naturally curious about who he is and why he has access to items that are normally reserved for secret agents. "I serve Khonshu as his avatar," Mark explains. "We look after the weak and bring Khonshu's justice to those who deserve it." Steven thinks it's the most ridiculous thing he's ever heard. Mark tells Steven that if he stays out of his lane and lets him finish the job he needs to do for Khonshu, he will vanish. Steven, on the other hand, tells him that he will never give him control again. In fact, if that's what it takes to keep Mark away, he'll never sleep again. Steven says he'll report everything he finds on Mark to the authorities and that he hopes the NHS, the British public healthcare system, will inject him with enough pills that he won't remember anything. The lights begin to flicker as Steven exits the storage locker. He sees the strange-looking giant again, but this time it approaches him. Steven starts running, exiting the storage locker and then the building, only to trip and fall on the street next to an approaching scooter. The scooter is driven by Layla, the woman on the phone in episode 1, who tells Steven that she tracked his phone and found him. She remarks, "I thought you wanted me to." Layla then reveals that she is his wife technically, Mark's wife, and that she has been wondering why he has suddenly vanished. Steven simply requests that she return him to his flat, where he will explain everything. Back at his flat, Layla is perplexed to discover that Steven is interested in the same things she is. Layla's favorite poet in France is Steven's favorite poet in France. Steven is learning hieroglyphics in the Egyptian alphabet, which Layla is already familiar with. Layla then shifts the focus of the conversation by mentioning that she refers to Mark, sent her divorce papers, but she never signed them. Steven claims that he would never divorce her, buddy, you were never married to her, and that, unlike Mark, he will tell her the truth. But just as he's about to take the scarab from the bag, Mark enters his mind and tells him that he's doing everything he can to protect Layla. Mark observes that, if you involve her, it will be your fault if they go after Layla. Steven finally comes to a halt as a result of this, but he has already said far too much. Layla's curiosity has piqued, and she's curious as to what he has in his bag. She snatches it from him and opens it to reveal the scarab inside. Mark and Layla fart side by side for the scarab, and Layla is shocked. Steven, on the other hand, has no recollection of their time together or of their exploits. Mark appears to have been withholding information from Layla for quite some time. He's also divorcing her, which pushes her even further away. The police arrive at Steven's door before their conversation can progress any further. They inevitably find the Mark Spector passport as they search his flat. Sorry, don't they need a warrant? Before the cops arrived, Layla had escaped through a window. Are they looking for the scarab because they think he's stolen something? How would they know about that, though? He's also been charged with forging a passport. As the cops are apprehending him, they learn that Mark Spector is a wanted international fugitive. He was part of a group of mercenaries who attacked an Egyptian dig site and shot archaeologists in the back of the head. Something is wrong, though, because they arrive in a back alley instead of a police station. They're dummy cops, and they've taken him to Arthur, as it turns out. Do you think Khonshu chose you because your mind would be easy to break or because it's already broken? Arthur asks Steven as he gets out of the car. Is Arthur referring to the tall creature with the head of a bird? That appears to be the case, confirming my Moon Knight Episode 1 suspicions. Khonshu, the Egyptian moon god, is who you're looking at. Stephen claims that he isn't broken. He simply requires assistance. Arthur claims that's why he's come. Khonshu reappears and orders Stephen to assassinate Arthur, as Arthur foresees. How did he know that? Arthur continues his pitch, telling Stephen that the area where they are standing used to have the city's highest crime rate. People no longer lock their doors at night thanks to Arthur's assistance. The two then enter a community kitchen, where Arthur notes that the food is free. He specifically mentions the lentil soup, which is essentially dal but fancier, and Stephen observes people watching what appears to be a pleasant natural history documentary. As some nearby metal trays fall to the ground, Arthur observes that Khonshu is prone to temper tantrums, which is why he was exiled by other Egyptian gods. Others were also unhappy with his vengeance policy. In between, Khonshu speaks to Stephen, telling him that he only punishes those who have caused him harm. After that, Arthur reveals that he can predict Khonshu's words because he was his previous avatar before Mark. He goes on to say that Khonshu's judgment comes after evil has occurred. Ammit is aware of this, and she uproots them before they can do any harm, Arthur adds. We need to resurrect Ammit, Arthur notes, and the scarab can help us find her. Naturally, Stephen brings up a point that we've all considered. Isn't the person innocent if Ammit judges pre-evil? What makes a thought evil? How can you kill a child and wait 30 years for them to act? This speaks to the oft-asked question of who killed Hitler's baby. Arthur uses a metaphor, claiming that the limb could be amputated to prevent an infection from spreading throughout the body. Before turning around to speak to Arthur's brainwashed followers, Stephen neatly points out that a child is not a diseased limb and wonders if they don't draw the line at child murder. Arthur shifts the conversation to his cane. It contains a sliver of Ammit's power, which is how he can use the supernatural scales of his justice on his arm to judge people. Everyone, including Stephen and Arthur's followers, takes a step away from Arthur just by hearing about the cane. Stephen refuses to hand over the scarab to the cult leader, claiming that he does not have it. He's not even lying this time. Layla appears out of nowhere, announcing that she has the scarab and holding it up for all to see. Layla then walks up to Stephen and asks him to summon the suit so they can all get out alive. But Stephen continues to misunderstand her, leaving Layla with no choice but to flee with Stephen. Another Egyptian jackal emerges from Arthur's cane, which he buries in the ground. Layla reveals that she is more than capable of handling herself physically as she and Stephen search for a way out of the community kitchen. Unfortunately, they find themselves trapped and are forced to hide behind a massive door that has been bolted shut. Layla begs Stephen to summon the suit once more, especially with the Egyptian jackal attempting to break down the door, but he appears incapable of doing so or unwilling to hand the body over to Mark. We can see Layla can't see the jackal as the massive door swings open. Only Stephen and Mark are capable of doing so. He specifically mentions the lentil soup, which is essentially dal but fancier. Stephen is taken to the cleaners by the Egyptian jackal. It's probably thanks to Khonshu's protection that he doesn't die. That's why I'm baffled as to how Layla manages to escape with only minor injuries after being hammered by the jackal. Stephen tries to retaliate against the beast, landing a solid punch, but he soon realizes that the task is too difficult for him. He finally gives in and relinquishes control. Mark spins around and shifts the battlefield, leading the jackal on a rooftop chase. He pulls off a swaggering move, perfectly timing a mid-air neck stab before grabbing the jackal's body and impaling him. Mark discovers he dropped the scarab during the chase with the beast, which has obviously ended up with Arthur. Layla sees him kill someone for it before she drives away on her scooter, but not directly. Returning to Mark, he is now on the outside, while Stephen is trapped inside. Stephen wants him to relinquish control, and he also wants to know more about their history. Mark reveals that he has been a mercenary in Khonshu for a long time, but that he will leave once his debt is paid. We wouldn't be alive if it weren't for Khonshu. His servitude to Khonshu requires him to perform certain tasks. Mark, Stephen says, hurts people, and he's leaving his wife. Mark claims that he's trying to protect her because Khonshu wants her to take my place. Khonshu reappears at this point, stating that Mark has broken his promise. He was supposed to keep Stephen at bay and make sure he didn't cause any problems for them. Mark claims he can handle it, but Khonshu isn't convinced. Mark tells Khonshu that once the work is completed, he wants to be left alone. Khonshu tries to appease his avatar by saying, "You enjoy the work I have for you, we need each other." Mark, on the other hand, isn't in the mood for it. "You might not like my next candidate, dear as she is to you," Khonshu warns, alluding to what Mark just said about Khonshu's intentions for Layla. "Where are we going now that the scarab is missing?" A frustrated Mark wonders. "What do you think?" says the narrator. Khonshu makes a snide remark. Anyone who has been paying attention to Moon Knight knows the answer. Cuts to the next scene in a room where Mark is seen drinking from a bottle before getting up and looking out the balcony for the sake of the audience. Pyramids can be seen in the distance. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please leave a comment below. Also, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to be notified of upcoming movie recaps. Until then, best wishes and stay safe.